everybody, Brigham with Drift here with 4 things I think you should know about the Yes times Pyzel SBBS. This is a directional all-mountain board. Came out at the end of last season as a limited edition collaboration with Pyzel Surfboards, and I'm excited to tell you about it. Before I get into it, check out my specs and my biases below so you know where I'm coming from as a rider. We own all the boards that we talk about, and we make sure to get them in a variety of conditions, especially powder, before we tell you what we think. So the first thing I'd mention about this board, and really any Yes board, is that when you're looking at sizes and checking out the numbers and making sure you're going to pick what fits, is that you should look at the underfoot width along with the waist width of their boards. And that's because of the edge tech that Yes uses. Unlike other brands who most of the time use some kind of like a gradual change in the edge to increase grip, Yes uses these really quick disruptions, kind of like steps that change the width of the board at different points. And sometimes they put them underfoot where it'll actually notch down and then back up underfoot, and it'll make it a little narrower there. And then other times they do it in the middle of the board where it steps down and then back up, and so it's wider underfoot and narrower at the waist. This has what they call the tapered mid-bite, so it steps down here through the center of the board, and then it steps back up, but not quite as much. So that's where you get that taper from tip to tail. And they use this on a few different boards. I'm a big fan of the tapered mid-bite and the narrower waist. I have big feet, so I get a little more board underfoot where I need it here, but I get a little more nimbleness and quickness edge to edge with that narrower waist. But just as far as fit, if you look at the waist width, it will appear a little narrower than the board will feel under your feet out here. So, and really, every brand should be publishing underfoot widths because boards have such a variety of shapes now that the waist width isn't even really that good of an indicator anymore of how a board's going to feel. I really like that edge tech, just to mention it. I think it works really well at providing a little extra grip, along with, kind of those subtleties of how the board feels in general. Second thing I would say about this board is in response to Yes's claim that this is one board that you could ride all winter, just a proper all-mountain, do-everything board. And I would say that's true, but with 2 exceptions. The first is this is full camber and it's stiff. So this is an aggressive board. It's not very playful. So you should know that about it. And then the second thing is, for me, this performed, reasonably well all over the mountain, holds a good edge. You can set it back with the setback inserts and with the taper and the wide nose and everything. You get pretty good float in the powder for a full camber board. But the one area where I did not like this is when the snow got bad, when it was rutted out, chopped up, and especially firm. This thing was just a lot of work for me to ride. I felt like I was getting tossed around. Unlike, for example, my Aviator, which I feel like is just amazingly good in bad snow, this was kind of the opposite for me. Some of that might be that I might be a little oversized with the 164 wide. I'm kind of at the lower end of the weight range there, but I wanted that length for the float. And I think most of it is just with how stiff and aggressive it is. Third thing about this board, and this is kind of a minor complaint, but I think it's worth mentioning, is that it doesn't have a fully sintered base. This is what they call sintered spec. It's where they recycle sintered material and extrude it. I just think at $600 retail, this should have a fully sintered base. They have multiple other boards that are cheaper than this that come with a higher end base. So to me, that's a little bit of a miss. Although I didn't have any complaints about it or any issues, it's just something in my head where I'm like, this should just have a sintered base. And then the last thing, the fourth thing I would mention, while white is not my favorite for snowboard graphics, I think this is a beautiful board. The top sheet has a design that I think is hard to tell in the pictures on the internet, where a portion of it's glossy and then some of it's matte. The colors look amazing here. They look beautiful on the base. And then I love the two colored sidewalls that Yes does. Sky blue on this side, yellow on the other side. I just think it's a great looking board, one of the better looking boards I got on all year, and it's held up really well too. So those are my thoughts about the Yes times Pyzel SBBS. Let me know in the comments if you got any questions or any feedback, and thanks for watching.